My name is Macaulay Gibson, and today I would like to inform you on how to catch bass, brim, and catfish. The first one I would like to talk about is bass. Talking about baits when you're trying to catch bass, there's all different types you can use. You have artificial, or you have live. Most people use artificial. Now when you're talking about artificial, you have worms, lizards, buzz baits, crankbaits, spinner baits, and rattle traps. When using a worm or lizard, you're usually putting a weight on there to make the fish in the deep water. When you use a buzz bait, is when you put it on top of the water and has a blade that makes vibrations, so the bass come up and hit on the top of the water. You usually use that when it's in the morning times or right at evening times, because they start hitting stuff on top of the water. Crankbaits have a bill on it to make them dive in deeper water. Spinner baits have the blade on it just like a buzz bait that makes the vibration on the water so the bass not only can see them but they can feel them. Now rattle traps are a lot different. They don't have a blade or a beak on them. So when you throw them, they have beads in them, so it has a weight that makes them sink. So when you start reeling them, they vibrate, so the bass can not only see them, but feel them also. Now, when you talk about live baits and how to catch bass, you usually catch a brim, put it on a cork and a hook, throw it out there and let the brim swim around, and usually a big bass will come up and eat it. Sometimes, very rarely, you'll catch a bass on a cricket. Put a cricket on a hook, put it on a cork, and throw it out there. That's all when I'm talking about bass. Now I'd like to move on to brim. Brim are kind of like bass, but you can use artificial or you can use live. A lot of people like to fish for brim because they're more populated and they overpopulate a lot easier than bass do. When you're talking about artificial bait, people use smaller buzz baits, smaller spinner baits. They're called beetle spins. Beetle spins have a weight, have a little spinner on it to make it vibrate. Usually throw it out there real slowly and the brim will hit it. And there's all different types of artificial baits. Me, personally, I like to use beetle spins because that's what I usually catch all the fish on. Now, I like to use, on live bait, I like to use crickets. Put a cork on it, on a line with a hook. Put the cricket on the hook, throw it out there, let it sit. When the cork goes under, that's when you know you have a fish. Most people use worms too. Worms are just really complicated to me because when you don't put them right on the hook, the worm is taken from the hook. So then you have to really line up, put another worm on there. Crickets just stay on the hook a lot easier. Now, catfish. A lot of people use stink baits and live baits to catch catfish on. Stink baits, you can use a cork or you can use tight line. What it does, if you tight line, you put a hook on a weight, on a string, throw it out there and you let it sit on the bottom, and you tighten your line up so you can see your rod tip if they're playing with it or not. When the rod tip will start bending, you set the hook, catch the fish. Now with stink baits, a little ball, a little dough ball that stink. You can get them as liver, chicken liver, blood, all different types. Put it down there. Catfish have a really good sense of smell. So they smell the stink bait and they come up there and eat it. And that's usually how you catch fish. Now you can put a stink bait on a cork and line. So when you put it on a cork and line, you got the cork and then you got the line and you got the hook with the stink bait on there. It just sits on top of the water, the cork does, and the bait's right underneath it. And when the fish takes it, the cork goes in the water, and that's when you know you have a fish. Now, to live bait. Live bait, you use brim, goldfish, any type of fish. You throw it out there on the hook. The bait's still alive, so you throw it out there on the line, and you can see the fish swimming around, but you got them on a big enough cork so that they're not strong enough to take the cork on the water. So when the catfish come up, they see the fish, they eat it, the cork goes in the water, and you set the hook. So that's basically all the general information you need to know about how to catch bass, brim, and catfish.